this takes me towards a feeling which is within me, which is very subtle, right? Very subtle energy it creates within me. And
Yes.
whatever energy I'm creating within me, this is what I see outside.
Yes. True.
For an example, a person who have lust inside, we will see human with, not as a human, but he will see a human as a thing to use, right?
Yes.
A person with lust. And a person with anger will also see a human with different, not as a complete human being. But
Yes.
imagine if I have the true essence of the sounds, true essence of the most subtle energy, then whatever I will experience in this world, I will experience the most subtle energy. So then matter become energy for me if I am my consciousness established into the most subtle energy.
Yes.
And then this is why many yogis have said that I see God as every particle is a God.
When you say they see energy, is it literally through the eyes? Like this is what the eyes capture? Because there's all these concepts of aura, for example, where people have auras, things have auras. So is that what you mean, where you literally see that energy field around an object or a human being?
So for this, actually to see this aura and everything, in yogic science, we have a metaphorical way to explain it. We say third eye.
Yes.
Third eye means which is an eye which is seeing beyond this two eye. This two eye looking at
Your
something
sixth
material.
sense.
Sixth sense, you can say.
Yes.
So the third eye look at beyond the material. Inside the material, see a essence of existence, the God.
Yes.
Right? So you see God in everything, which is only through third eye. Seeing means you experience the world as an energy, right? So this is what Patanjali is talking about in the Sutra 26.
So as we've learned now, Om chanting is really a lot about focusing on the meaning of Om, right? We're connecting with the meaning of Om. We're not just blindly chanting it. We're not just listening to it. It's not only about the sound. In fact, it's the opposite of sound, like we've learned. But there also exist certain sounds which they say, the frequency of it might have contain an Om chant, might be only instrumental or even electronically created. But they say certain sounds have the frequency of creation, right? Like 432 hertz is supposed to be a sound which has the frequency, the energy of the earth. And so that also as a sound is supposed, if you just, in your room, in your environment, you play this kind of music with this very specific frequency. And I think there's a few different frequencies and each one signifies something different. So if you surround yourself with these kind of sounds, with this frequency, they're also meant to get you into this higher level of consciousness ultimately, right?
Yes, definitely.
The frequency of the earth, which means of creation. So is it kind of the same thing?
Yes, it's the same thing. It's same, but not same at the same point as well. Same because if you will be meditating on that frequency, which is external sound, so your consciousness, your brain consciousness, your way of thinking, your thoughts, everything will merged with that frequency. And when it merged with that frequency, you will feel the same as the divine energy and everything.
Right.
But your the root from where the frequency starts, from where your brain wave starts, is the same. It is still conditioned.
Right.
It is conditioned, but it's like the root is same, but the branches are designed spiritual. Means through the sound, as long as you are with the sound, you will feel very nice, calm.
Yes.
You are not working on the root yet.
Yes.
But what I am saying, focusing on the meaning of that without something external. Meaning of that is working on the root.
Yes. Right. I understand.
So you understand? Yes. So if I just take external help of any sound, of course it will relax my mind, calm my mind, give me extraordinary sense of existence. Like I will really experience something great through
in that moment.
Vibrations.
And after that,
that moment,
it will go away.
Yeah, because root is the same.
Yes.
Your behavior, your root is still the same. That's why meaning of it. In Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, it's given like the same practice of, it says, looking at an object without a word is a practice of meditating on Om. So you look at some object, a human being, or it could be an animal or anything existential. You look at it but without a word, not a single word about that object.
Yeah.
Absolute silence. If you are able to look at it, that is what meeting. That is also japa of Om.
Yes. Yes.
Meeting Om. You're meeting Ishvara.
Yes.
So the mind of the child, newborn baby, may perhaps has that quality to look at Ishvara in everything,
Yes.
because they don't have words about it. So they look at anything very deeply, so deeply.
Is
Sorry.
it the same thing with animals as well? Because you also see animals doing this, and animals don't have language.
Yeah, they don't have language, but their level of consciousness is very low. So that's a problem. They can't also see the divinity. But some animals are very sensitive, like cow,
Yes.
like dogs. They are very sensitive.
Yes.
They
Cat.
have some feeling, but dog also can judge. Dog can see that this is my honor and this is not my honor.
Yes.
Can bark on somebody and can love the honor.
Yes.
So there are differences also. But this is very important for us, like in day-to-day life, to looking at an object without a word. If we are able to achieve that state, our relationship has a different meaning. Then our relationship with the people, with things, with places becomes so deep.
Yes.
Because it is beyond the conditionings, right? It is just connection with heart directly. We are just breathing through the trees, we are breathing through human beings. So it's a difficult practice, but if we go into this practice, we can understand what Om actually means.
Yes.
Because this existence is an expansion of that Om.
Yes.
So the next sutra. Now, if we repeat it again and again, but why? Why do we do this japa of Om? What it will result? In next sutra, Patanjali is saying, Tata pratyaka chetana adhigama api antarya abhavacha. Sanskrit, so many Sanskrit words. Simple meaning is, from that practice, the consciousness turns inward and the obstacles are overcome.
Right.
By doing this practice, knowing the silence, my consciousness will turn inward.
Yes.
For that, when the consciousness takes this U-turn from outward to inward, when it moves, there is a word pratyahara. That is a very important point, that my consciousness turn inward. Otherwise, our human life, if we see, our consciousness is all the time moving outward. We just having desire to get this and that, pleasure, right? Sensual pleasures. I want to look something beautiful. There's a desire to get something from outside, to beauty, smell, taste, touch, anything great, right?
Yes.
So the whole direction of living a life change at that moment when the consciousness move inward.
Right.
So by doing this practice of japa of Om with complete meaning of it, meditating on the meaning of it, right? The consciousness turns inward, and that inward turn of consciousness, which it will remove the obstacles. What are the obstacles? Patanjali talks about the obstacles in next sutra.
Okay.
Obstacle simply means that how we, like, obstacles to what? Like, we are on a journey, we are finding how one person can live unconditionally free.
Yes.
With completely with freedom on the planet Earth.
Yes.
So there are obstacles. So these obstacles are removed by this practice.
Right. And once again, what that means in our practical daily lives is that through this practice, we're learning how to continue to live our normal lives, right? It's not about detachment from the world, sitting alone somewhere in, on top of a mountain. That's of course quite naturally how obstacles get removed, right? Because you have no stimulus around you. So the idea is to continue your normal daily life and let those stimulus keep coming. And still, despite of that, you can function in this much elevated manner, right? Coming from your higher consciousness, instead of dealing with all the sufferings as we studied before.
So that's why I given the example of looking at an object without a word, because we are living in a world which is full of people, society, friends, office, work. So here we have to do this practice.
Yes.
here this is very important. So this practice is not out of the society. You don't have to go to Himalaya to chant Om or
Right.
to do some other things.
Yes.
Wherever you are, you can do this practice.
Yes.
You just have to first become aware about the words. That words we are full of words inside. We have to become aware about these words, which are completely filled in our consciousness. We can't experience a single object without words.
Yes.
So first I have to become aware about it, and second step is to go beyond the words, looking at an object without the words, and
Yes.
in that looking at an object without a word, Om sound will appear.
Right.
See, there is one thing. In previous sutra we understood that Ishvara is guru of all the gurus. Guru means a mentor, a guide, right?
Yes.
And there is a word disciple, which means there is a guru and disciple. Guru
Yes.
is a teacher, disciple who is taking knowledge from it.
Yes.
So in previous sutra also we talked about it, that when the disciple is ready, guru appears.
Yes. Yes.
So when you are ready for that, Om appears. Om comes to you.
Yes.
Pranava comes to you. You don't go to Pranava.
Yes.
So you only prepare yourself for Om. Through
Yes.
that word Om, which is actually a sound Om, we only preparing ourselves, which is in which silence can enter.
Yes.
So if I will chant Om again and again and again with keeping myself silent, and I keep on chanting it, and if I'll stop after that, all silence will enter within me.
Yes.
Through that. There is a word Anahat and Ahat. All the sounds are created by the friction of two. Or hitting of the two. With two are required to create a sound, right? Like I'm speaking the word, there is also my air and my throat. Both are having friction. I'm speaking. All the sounds are created. But we call it Ahat. If I hit two things, it creates sounds, right?
Yes.
So that is Ahat. But there is a word Anahat. Anahat means where there is only one, and that sound which is coming from one, not from the two. Actually, it is not a sound, it is a silence.
Oh, wow.
Which is not coming from the two.
Yes.
If there is a division between me and you, of course, I will judge you. Division is based on the judgment that you are this, you are that.
Yes.
Right? Me and you, I and they. Right? We and they. You and me. So this division is created by the words, which are the sounds.
Yes.
And if I want to go into yoga, the word yoga, which means union, if I want to become you, me and you want to become one, in this there is no division. It means Anahat is there. Anahat is another name of Om. Anahat means where there is no sound.
Oh, wow.
And often we denote it with this chakra. Heart chakra is also denoted by Anahat chakra, means without a sound.
Yes.
Beyond a sound. Yes. Because it do not see duality. There is no duality.
Today we've really learned all about Om and the significance of it and how to start to incorporate it into our lives. And like you said, moving forward, we're going to learn how there are certain obstacles on this path. If we chant it perhaps mechanically and we're not connecting to the meaning, obstacles will enter. So we'll start to understand what are these obstacles and how do we overcome those obstacles as well. Thank you so much, Vishu. It's been so interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Devina.